Welcome everyone to the Pulmonary Hypertension Association's PHA Classroom e-Learning Event Series. I am very pleased to present today's webinar, State of PHA, an annual update from PHA President Rino Aldrighetti. My name is Amanda Nguyen, and I am the Patient Education Associate at the Pulmonary Hypertension Association, and I will be moderating today's event. Today's program will include a presentation by Rino Aldrighetti, and the presentation will be followed by a brief question and answer period. During the call, please note that all lines are muted, so if you have a question, feel free to submit it using the chat function on your web interface. You will also have the opportunity to ask questions aloud by using the raise hand function on your screen later in the call. So as a reminder, today's webinar requires a web login as well as an audio call-in. So if you're not yet logged into the web portion, please go to readytalk.com and type in 565-3004 under Join a Meeting. And also please note that today's call is being recorded. At the conclusion of your webinar, please take a few moments to fill out the brief evaluation that will pop up in your screen as you're logging out. Your feedback is very important to us as we use it to help shape our programming here at PHA. So without further ado, let me introduce our presenter today, Rino Aldrighetti.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for participating today. This is really one of the more fun things that I get to do each year, and it is to tell you a bit about what's been going on and what the state of your organization is and has been over the last 12 months. And to summarize what you'll hear is that what I would say to you is that PHA remains strong with challenges and opportunities, and we also remain true to our mantra here at PHA, which is that any person whose life is touched by PH has the right to fight back as much or as little as health and interest allow, and our job at PHA is to make that possible. So let me start with by talking to you about conference. We had our 10th conference in June of 2012, and let me tell you, start out by telling you a little bit about the history of that conference. So this is from PHA's history, which was written by Gail Boyer-Hayes, who, as many of you know, is the same patient who is the author, creator and author of the Patient's Survival Guide. In her history, Gail wrote, Ed Simpson, who was is the husband of Judy Simpson, one of PHA's founders, made the bold suggestion that UPA, as PHA was then known, United Patients Association for Pulmonary Hypertension, hold an international conference that would bring together PH patients who may never have met another patient, their families, and physicians with knowledge of PH. The UPA treasury was small, holding only $858.31, and most known volunteers were present at the board meeting, and that was nine volunteers. Nevertheless, Ed said he would organize a UPA conference for 1994 and was given approval to do so. So here was this small organization in 1992 willing to take a risk to create the opportunity for patients and their families and the medical professionals who treated them to come together. And it was a risk with a lot of wisdom, and it was a risk that paid off because I maintain that was really the beginning of the growth of this organization. So in 2012, we celebrated PHA's 10th international conference. It was the largest PH meeting ever held anywhere in the world. 1,536 were registered from 30 nations. Our scientific sessions were held and were extraordinarily valuable. They are designed so that physicians and researchers can begin to explore areas that might be of future interest. in their work. We held medically led sessions, about 40 that were oriented towards patients, and also a new track that we developed, which is for physicians who are really beginning to enter this world of work and are looking for more knowledge for themselves. And then our patient-led sessions and support groups enriched the conference as well. We also held an International Leaders Symposium, and those are that symposium invited 2 or 3 leaders from each of the what is now 61 PH associations around the world. Rapid growth from 2000 when there were 3, and the growth that we've played, I think, an important role in. But we had about 24 nations, representatives from PH associations in 24 nations who also participated in the Leaders Symposium. All their sessions, like the medically led sessions and the patient-led sessions that were not private, were made available, have been made available on PHA Classroom and on PHA Online University for the medical sessions. And in this slide, one of the things that we did this conference was we put up a board where people could post notes about what conference means, and I thought this was a concise and true statement. It means meeting others who understand. Centers of care is something that we have been working on since I'd say about the middle of, or perhaps a little bit earlier, in 2012. We were in a situation early in 2012 where we began to see the payers, the insurance companies, led by Blue Cross Blue Shield in North Carolina, beginning to withdraw support for patients on combination therapy, and we, through our Scientific Leadership Council, were able to fight that back. But in talking to them, I would say to you that a conversation that the Scientific Leadership Council had begun a number of years earlier took on some new urgency, and that was that we have grown so much since 2000, 2001, when the first oral medication was approved, from about 100 treating physicians to probably about 8,000 or 10,000 today. But many of those physicians are not seeing very many patients or connected to the latest research. So education is important, but also PHA has always said to patients it's important to see physicians who are experienced in this disease. And while that's true, it's also undefined. And so our doctors began to look or have revived the conversation in terms of creating what would probably be more commonly described as centers of excellence. The working title now is PHA Accredited Centers of Care. And so they have been working through 4 committees, and you see the names of the medical leaders who are involved in these in this work, to begin to define what these centers of care are and what are the standards by which physicians who seek to be described as centers of PH care can be reviewed to actually be defined as such. So it's exciting. We're hoping by the third quarter of 2013 2013 to, I'm sorry, by the fourth quarter of 2013 to actually begin to do the evaluations and the accreditations. The 4 committees have actually this week been completing their reports, and in mid-March we'll be presenting them to the Scientific Leadership Council, which will vote on them. And following that, actually the next day, the board will, of trustees of PHA, will hear the report and approve that as well. So yeah, this will include centers. There are discussions about pediatric centers as well as more broadly general centers, PH centers as well. In terms of research, we have always been proud of the research work that PHA funds. It has, I think, helped to be a driver of research interest in this field. Besides funding research, we also work with NIH and others to help build research, although that is becoming much more of a strain in our current government situation. I should say to you that while we all have concerns about what sequestration may mean if it comes to reality next week, one of the things that most directly of impact to all of us on the call is the fact that NIH will be, depending on how the numbers are worked, will be reduced by 5.1 to about 9%. The estimate is that this will cost 1,500 research grants, which is frankly a tragedy for the nation and a display of poor leadership. In terms of research, since 2000, PHA has committed made over $13 million in grant commitments for research. We have done that through 4 programs, and we are so pleased this year that we have added a 5th, which is the first such program in the world, and that is the Robin Barst Pediatric PH Research Fund. So there has never been a pediatric PH fund that we have been aware of in the world, and now there is one. We successfully, by the end of 2012, had raised $1 million so that we can begin to treat this as an endowment. We're hoping to expand that to $3 million. I describe it as a research fund, but in truth, it's much more than that. It's a research and mentoring fund, and as Robin Barst, who helped to define not only the PH field in its early days, but certainly the pediatric PH field, which is now beginning to grow considerably. Robin trained some of the early PH physicians who are now among the world's experts, including Dr. Rosenzweig, Berman Rosenzweig in New York, and Dr. Ivy now at the University of Colorado. And the sense is that it is folks like that who need to be have the opportunity to train others so that the field can expand in terms of strong clinical service to patients, practice to patients, and as well as research. So the research grants will be given for the purpose of creating both mentoring and research opportunities for future PH pediatricians, and we are so excited to be able to help develop that. We think it will be the future of this field and strengthen the future of this field. And so again, it will become a more complex program when we hit 3 million, but it is now underway. We have contracted with the American Thoracic Society so that we can have independent review of the grant applications. And we will, I believe that they have either just posted or will soon in the next couple of weeks be posting the grant opportunities. And they'll certainly appear on the research pages of PHA's website as well. This year we partnered with the Scleroderma Foundation and worked with a committee of physicians, helped to fund a committee of physicians to create guidelines for the screening and diagnosis of pulmonary hypertension in connective tissue disease, most specifically scleroderma patients. And the committee met in early December. They're completing the work on the guidelines, and this work led by two physicians who are on our Scientific Leadership Council. As a matter of fact, one who is also chair of our board, Dr. Val McLaughlin from the University of Michigan, and Dinesh Khanna. Val is a cardiologist, and Dr. Khanna is a rheumatologist. Their leadership on this has led to what we think will be an important and successful document. That will appear on our online university website and will be very helpful to physicians working in this field. We this year, actually over the last couple of years, have been working on patient coping issues, and we developed 5 guides, each of 30 or so pages of information on coping with pulmonary hypertension. And you can find the 5, each of the guides is specialized for newly diagnosed patients and so on, but you can find them at phassociation.org/coping where they can be, where you will be able to download them if you would like them. It's a very important issue, and one that kind of comes at folks in different ways. And so in the middle of last year also, I was in a conversation with Colleen Brunetti, who is a board member of PHA, and we began talking about some issues that she was having with her specialty pharmacy and how difficult it was to in the situation that she was in to communicate and what kind of stresses that was leading to. So we tracked those. So I guess that was actually a bit early. It was probably early in 2012. And so over about 6 months, she tracked her experience and then wrote it up in a letter for our Scientific Leadership Council. She just posted that as a guest blog on my blog, which you can find at phassociation.org/Rino, R-I-N-O, blog, B-L-O-G. And what came of that was I presented it to her letter and 1 or 2 others to the corporate committee, and we agreed to put together an exploratory committee which involved specialty pharmacies, a couple of pharmaceutical companies, Caring Voice Coalition, who we have always worked very well with and have great experience and advice on this, and then a couple of, as I said, the pharmaceutical companies as well. So we've had several meetings, and we have agreed to create a specialty pharmacy advisory committee. So within the next few months, we will be posting a page on both our website and on the Caring Voice Coalition website. It'll be actually the same page, but reachable through both websites, through which patients can post their experiences We will, as we work out the technology, our hope is that with the patient's permission, the companies will be able to go in before the review by the advisory board, and if they are able, resolve those issues. So the advisory board would then look at the issues that have not been resolved and would be able to also see where there are patterns. Some of the concerns that we have also had is that as new companies are coming into the field, being moved into the field through pressure from the payers, the insurance companies, we are seeing companies that don't seem to have a lot of experience. For example, our Scientific Leadership Council just wrote a letter based on the fact that that we have come across several cases where there's been an interruption in patient medication. So that's we see this both as a service related to insurance and as one that in effect relates very much to the psyche and good health of patients. Our advocacy programs continue to grow. I'll talk a little bit later about the Sometimes It's pH campaign. pH Awareness Month, as always, was very active, and each year seems to be getting even more active. Right now, as I said a little bit earlier, we have been working on the sequestration issue. I was told that over the last couple of days we've had about 75 of our members have called congressional offices telling the members of Congress about their obligation to their constituents to, in effect, manage this country rather than yell at each other. So it is, I say that in a nonpartisan way, but in effect our government owes us better. We encourage anyone who wants to help with that to call their member of Congress, encourage them to deal with, in effect resolve the issue, not just kick it down the block for another 3 months, but truly resolve the issue and not implement sequestration, which will certainly do damage to research among pretty much any other aspect of our lives. If you want more information about that, please do call our organization at 301-565-3004 and ask for our advocacy department. They'd be happy to advise you about that. You can also go to the advocacy pages on the phassociation.org website and find out what we're doing there. We are expanding visibility as we always do, in partnerships between our members and our staff. The pictures that you see there, certainly the best looking guy on the page is Lucas Van Wormer with his great hat. And Lucas is a young patient who has been working with his dad, Steve, who is at the top left of the slide, and they have been producing a series of 30-second public service announcements, which are getting great play around the country on pulmonary hypertension awareness. And what you see in the background of Lucas's picture is the taylorswish.org, which is an event that in memory of Taylor Caffrey that her family puts on and does a great job with, and the Van Wormers certainly are among their partners and supporters on that. So there's so much happening around the country in terms of visibility, and I'm very pleased that this year we hired a vice president within our organization, Molly Katz, and that's Molly's picture on the the lower left there. And what Molly is really the first person on our staff who came to us with a strong background in public and media relations, and has really been helping to move our staff into a much more professional approach as we deal with media and increasing our ability to build out awareness of this disease. So we're very excited to be building on that. Molly also manages our sometimes it's PH campaign, our early diagnosis campaign, again, which I'll speak about a little bit later. Special events, thank you all. We had 65 special events in 2012. They were all grassroots organized events with 2 of our staff helping to create partnerships between mentors who have successfully done various events with people who are new at doing them. They have provided great awareness throughout the country and supporting research and patient-serving programs. Just before the beginning of this webinar, I was in a meeting with our special events staff and our new development director, and Jess McCurran, who is director of the special events staff, was doing a wonderful presentation on how we will refine and improve our process of working with the patient community and their families to improve our ability to support these events. We this year created a new handbook for families, and also created a guide for kids and teens and their families to get involved in awareness activities as well, and those have become very very popular and are available at no cost. Our support groups. Boy, we've got a lot of support groups, and they keep growing. I mean, here we are, a disease state with 20 to 30,000 patients across the United States, and have now grown to 243 support groups. And every time I talk to Debbie, the number continues going up. I'm always fascinated to be on the support group leaders listserv and see how people help each other and learn from each other on the listserv. And this year the meeting in a minute guide has been what I hope is another asset for the support group network. The PHA has a very robust medical education program. We have to. There are many doctors coming into this field. There are many doctors who want to learn about this, and also nurses and other allied health professionals. So we're doing a lot there. During the past year, we did 60 face-to-face medical education programs through multiple programs that we have, our preceptorship program at major PH centers around the U.S., as well as some of our other programs through our on-demand program, where we tailor the way we deliver the medical education to the needs of the requesting medical professionals. The piece that I want to talk about, because it's the one that reaches the most people, is PHA Online University. We began it about 4 years ago. It is designed to provide medical education to the medical community, to both experts and to those who maybe are the people who we want to learn to screen for diagnosis of pulmonary hypertension, like primary care physicians. The site went through a complete rebuild in 2012. You know, when I first started at PHA in 1999, we had a budget of something like $500 a year for our website. I would tell you that to rebuild a website to do the kinds of things that we wanted this one to do was, I think, more than our entire budget of that year. But it's worth it because it's the way we talk to the world, and thank goodness we have the resources to make that possible. The way that the new website works, it has a variety of things that are very important. In other words, it is self-adjusting now, so that if you are a physician who is running around with a tablet or a cell phone, it will adapt itself to your preferred way of receiving information, whether it be a computer screen or a tablet or a cell phone, and you can get that information on the go. It is similar to, well, although not as expensive as, the Amazon website, whereby if you take one course, it can help you to find other courses that may be of interest to you based on what you have shown you already are interested in. Content is expanding. The usage is expanding rapidly, and we are looking to create new markets for information, looking beyond the PH world itself to those who may again be interested, or the appropriate people for screening PH patients and getting them to the right physicians for a diagnosis. And you can find, if you're interested in more information about that, you can look at phaonlineuniv.org, and if you didn't get that website, there's always a link on the phassociation.org homepage to Online University. So site growth since launch has been rapid, and you can see the number of visitors has increased each year in terms of the averages. The first year in 2010 we had 2,508 average number of monthly visitors. In 2011, 5897 average number of monthly visitors, and this past year 8,749. So it's those are nice increases. The word is getting around the medical community, and we've had over 104,000, almost 105,000 visitors, actually well over that now since this slide was through December of 2012. The total number of CME, or in other words, educationally accredited resources added to the site has also been growing at an accelerating speed, and that's really a credit to the physicians and allied health professionals who offer their time to help us develop the medical resources for this site. One of the things that is exciting to me is that we have developed enough of a reputation that we are partnering with other organizations who have medical education in this area that are making their material available on our website. The Pulmonary Vascular Research Institute being the most recent, as well as the Keystone Conference folks. So we expect to see the number of resources growing at an even faster rate in the future. So this slide is an important and historic shift for us. PHA has for the first time in our history developed a new chapter structure. Now let me be very clear about what chapters are and what chapters aren't, and why we did this. So let me start with the why. If you think about PHA and you compare us to to any of the larger disease states. Here we are again with 20 to 30,000 patients across the United States. We are a rare disease. A rare disease in the U.S. is defined as 200,000 patients in the U.S. or less. We're at 20 to 30,000, about 10%, 10 to 15% of that number. So we're really small as a rare disease. But we are ambitious. We are doing a lot of stuff, and we are trying to do it well, and that's expensive. We have gotten a lot of support from our members, but again, our membership number is small. We've gotten a lot of support from industry, but industry money comes and goes. The life cycle matures. For instance, this year Pfizer just went to generic, which is great on price. Actually, not as great as it could be. It should be better, but it certainly has reduced prices as the generics have begun to come into the field. But that also takes out industry support from that area for the kind of work that we do. So as we began to look at that, at the beginning of last year, I went to the Board of Trustees and began to talk about how we could create options for PHA. In other words, assure our sustainability into the future. And we really looked at a lot of different options. We told ourselves we were going to take about a year. We compressed that, and it was. But at one point, somewhere around July, we had a meeting with the folks at the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and we met with their leadership and talked about a lot of the things that they were doing and that were of interest. We'd known them for a long time, and we knew that they were a successful model. What they told us was that they had they had been founded much earlier than PHA in 1955, and they had started with a chapter structure. That chapter structure actually created a lot of problems because, like us, they have about 30,000 patients. And the problems were that in effect they began spending an awful lot of time on chapter structures. Frankly, that's the reason why PHA, when we first considered chapters, didn't do them. But they did something very different in the early 1980s. They moved the chapters from independent chapters to chapters that had a single purpose. No programs, simply local fundraising activities through special events and other things that they would do to create an independent, flexible funding stream that would allow them to sustain the organization. They've been very successful with that. They have 80 chapters, and those 80 chapters now generate $110 million per year. We actually are, as a rare disease association, are one of the largest of the rare disease associations. So to compare it to that number that I just gave you, we're at $9 million. And that allows us to do a great deal of activity. But again, the sustainability issues are very important. So what we've done is we have committed from our reserves to building out a chapter structure. The first time since I was PHA's first staff person in 1999, I have hired a staff person from our Board of Trustees. And our Board of Trustees is a volunteer structure, and we usually keep a separation and don't move people back and forth. But the person I hired was so right for the position we were trying to create that I could see it was just a very clear choice. So the person that we're talking about is Carl Hicks, who many of you know. You see him in the lower picture there and in the upper on the left. And Carl joined us in November of last year. By December of 2012, he had hired our first, defined where we would place our first 3 chapters, which are New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. He had hired our first executive directors, and the process began. He began a training process in mid-December, where we brought the executive directors in for 3 days. They all are extraordinarily well experienced in what we've hired them to do. They have strong targets for what they're trying to do, and they've done some excellent planning to make that possible. And in their first year, we have told them that each office will be a staff of 3, which they've designed a nice staffing process. And so each office is now up to three people, and they have their websites are being launched, actually, I'm told, today. And their events will begin within the next 60 days in each of the chapters, and their calendar will continue to accelerate through the rest of the year. If we're successful in terms of these 3 chapters, and we believe we will be, then what we will do after this pilot year is we will expand the chapter structure into 3 more cities, and then continue that through a 5-year plan. And our hope is that during that process we will create a future for PHA where when physicians come to us and talk to us about wanting complex and expensive structures like centers of care, we will have no qualm about saying we're ready to go. Right now we're raising funds in other ways to do that and working hard at that. So we think we will be able to create great new opportunities for PHA as we go down the road on this. So you will be hearing more about this as the structure continues to develop. And if you are in any of the 3 cities and are interested in making contact with the chapters, please do let us know, and we'll put you in touch. PHPN Symposium. We began these events in 2003 when we had about 60 nurses come together, and now we have programming for nurses, pharmacists, respiratory therapists, and so on. The next PHPN Symposium will be September 26th to 28th in 2013. We always do them in the Washington area because we tie an advocacy day to the event. And one of the things that I'm so pleased about is that at our last symposium, I believe the nurses and other allied health professionals said, you know, we want to do more in the way of presenting the knowledge and sharing with others the knowledge that we have. And so we had built out a poster session that was much smaller, and we committed to helping to build it larger. And so we did webinars, which we then put up on the website. We got the word out to people that we would, in effect, we created training for allied health professionals in how to develop and present their abstracts and posters. And we have seen huge increases in the numbers of those. So we're expecting about 500 at the symposium in September. Beginning on next week, the 5th World PH Symposium will be held in Nice, France, and it is a meeting that takes place every 5 years. It is when the doctors who are experts in this field begin to discuss everything from the nomenclature to the latest research in the field, and it is always a point of great advance for this field. The first one was held, very small meeting, in Geneva, Switzerland in 1973, and and the second one was held not so long ago, but now they're every 5 years. They alternate between Europe and the United States. So I'm very pleased that for the second time, 5 years ago they invited PHA to come for the first time, and now for the they have invited us, and it is, I think, a statement of how the physicians are seeing the value of the patient community that the conference organizers are now underwriting the costs of myself and a vice president to attend that meeting and giving us an exhibit booth so that we can provide our information. We'll be recruiting hopefully many of the attendees to participate in PH Professional Network, PH Clinicians and Researchers, which is our physicians structure, which allows information to flow back and forth around the world. World PH Day is May 5th. It was begun in 2012 thanks to our friends in Spain, the Spanish PH Association, who began it. It will be much larger in 2013. We will be getting out to all of you with messages on how you can participate. Right now, our staff is working on creating a website which will be www.worldphday.org, and that will be up in mid-March. And we're very pleased that the global patient community of which we host, for whom we host a listserv, will be has agreed that the theme is this year is early diagnosis, we will post all information what all the different countries are doing for World PH Day. A lot of the activities will be very simple. Many things as simple as holding up a sign and posting a picture on the website. So you'll hear more about that from us shortly. The Sometimes It's PH campaign, which we launched at conference, was built around the fact that during the past 20 years, with all the changes and advances, there's been little, if any, change in the time from onset of symptoms to point of diagnosis. And with 9 treatments available, that needs to change for patients' health and survival. And so we have 3 functioning committees developing content and strategies, and we are now seeing medical journals beginning to publish articles on that. We soon will be expanding that to general public awareness as well. Later this year, you'll hear more about what Dr. Patty George and her team are doing. We hope to make this something that that will spread across our entire community, and that is the Race Across America. It is a nonstop race. Basically, the racers stay in a van behind the bicyclist, and they swap riders every so often. So they go across America. We hope it will be a great opportunity for awareness over the next 20 months or so. So we also will be getting you information about that as it develops. So we've got about 10 minutes, 10 or 12 minutes left. I know that Amanda has a couple of slides she wants to put in at the end, but Amanda, let me turn it back to you if you want to manage any questions.
Great. So now we are going to open the lines up for questions, and so if you'd like to raise your hand to ask a question out loud, feel free to do that. And you may also continue to send questions my way via chat. So give me 1 second here. I see we have someone with their hand raised. So once I call on you, please press *7 to unmute your phone and *6 to remute your phone once you're finished. So Hazel, I see that your hand is raised. Go ahead and press *7 to unmute your phone.
Hello?
Yes, hi
Can
there,
you hear me?
Hazel. Yes.
Hi, how are you? I'm sorry, I was pressing #7.
No worries.
It's always
Go
the
ahead.
hardest part.
I am here in Maryland, not far from your offices in Silver Spring. I'm a PH patient, and I was interested in your discussion of the new chapters that have been set up in New York, Chicago, and San Francisco.
Yes.
And I got a bit confused because I was thinking that these, when you said purpose-focused chapters, I was thinking about different combinations of the disease, and I was surprised when it came out to be locations. Oh. Can you speak a little bit more about that and help clarify?
Sure.
It's going to be a major metropolitan area?
Yeah, so first let me say that we do have programs for specific populations within our community. In other words, parents of children with PH, newly diagnosed patients, and so on. But these are geographic structures. They the chapter directors and their staffs will be working with within the communities the physical communities that they are that they exist, to develop everything from galas to golf tournaments to walks and runs. And so they will have they actually have a branded theme for all the events that will come out of the chapters called O to Breathe, and you'll be hearing more about those. We have, before we went into the communities, we worked with a number of folks in those communities, and there have been several launch parties in each of the cities as well, so that to introduce the directors and their staffs to the community, and Carl Hicks has been at each of those. So basically, again, these are people who are, unlike all the events that we have done historically, and we will continue to do in Maryland and most of the other states. This is the development of professionally run structures. So if you think about, for example, the Avon or the Susan G. Komen walks and so on, those are professionally led fundraising events. And we will be building out those kinds of structures in those cities. They're all geographically based. Does that help?
That helped. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
All right. If it looks like we don't have any other questions, I want to thank Rino again for being with us today and leading this wonderful conversation. And so the recording of this event will be posted to PHA Classroom in the coming weeks. And I just would like to bring your attention to a couple of upcoming webinars we have, both for patients and caregivers and some on online university for our medical professionals who are joining us today on this webinar. For PHA Classroom, we have, as you can see, 3 really great webinars lined up. One coming up on Monday, on February 25th, after the diagnosis, Courage to Take the Next Step. And then in March, Dr. Rino Aldrighetti, who led a great webinar last month about yoga, is going to join us again for a webinar on breathing techniques. And then later on in April, Dr. Michael Magoon is going to give his annual talk on clinical trials and treatments that are on the horizon. And also, I would like to bring your attention to a number of really great webinars that PHA Online University has coming up for our medical professionals. And registration is coming soon, so please be on the lookout for those. And so thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Rino. And as you're exiting, please take the time to fill out the survey that pops up on your web browser. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.